What's going on, YouTube? In this video, I'll be briefly explaining expansion versus distribution and then getting straight into chart examples so you can start positioning yourself correctly instead of chasing moves after they've already happened. Now, both expansion and distribution are the real moves in CRT. Expansion is when price flows up, distribution is when price flows down, but neither of them happens randomly. They're both phase 3 in the candle range theory cycle. Final phase after smart money has already built up and trapped. Now I'm going to break it down with some real examples so you can see exactly how it unfolds and more importantly, how to read it before it takes off. So just getting straight into this example, I have a 4-hour bull CRT setup, which means from this point, I'm expecting price to begin rising. Okay, so just to show you the direction very quickly, I'm expecting price to move up. Very simple, right? So now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to play the chart, watch how price moves, and then break it down as it flows. Okay, let's get straight into it. Now, very quickly in this type of scenario, right? If you're trying to wait for a sweep of the low and let's say price sweeps the high first as it just did here, what you want to do is ignore it because that's not your setup. It's not what you're looking for. Okay. So you still want to continue waiting until price sweeps this low. And if it doesn't, then it's a no trade. Simple as that. You don't have to force anything. Now let's keep watching and let's wait for this low to be swept. Okay, there we go. Now price sort of jumped up, but we had to sweep of this low. So now what I'm going to do is go to a lower time frame to see much more detail of what was happening in real time, right? Let me go down to the 1 minute in this example. Now in this example, right, I went down to the 1 minute time frame, okay? And now your goal here is to spot what's happening in real time. So very quickly, right? We understanding that we are inside of a 4-hour candle on the higher time frame. So on the lower time frame, the thing that we want to do is we want to identify our phases so that we can know when the market is beginning to expand back up so we can capitalize on the trade, right? So very quickly, right? We have this zone of accumulation right here, okay? I'm going to just draw a straight line across this time, right? Now that we understand that this here is our accumulation, so now we automatically are trying to wait for phase 2, which is the manipulation, and then phase 3, which is our final one, the expansion, to continue on a lower time frame so that it can push the higher time frame momentum. Okay. And so as we can see, price came, touched our 4-hour low, collected all the liquidity here, and then it began to expand. Now the place that we will find our entry is once price closes back above our previous accumulation zone. Because what this shows us is that our manipulation has peaked and we are now most likely to expand and continue on higher. So just for an entry area, you will want to place this right here because it's above our accumulation zone. So now actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put numbers on the chart that will represent each phase. Okay. So for here, I'll just put a 1 because what this means is that this here is phase 1. Now phase 2 underneath our 4-hour low, because what we were expecting is for that low to be swept, which means on a lower time frame, we were expecting it to continue and manipulate lower. So now for phase 3, I'm going to put a 3 around this zone. I'm gonna just put it above our line because then at that point we know that okay, we are valid for an entry and to take this trade up into the highs. Okay. So now that we understand that since price did sweep our 4-hour high, we can still put it here, but technically the correct place would be the next high areas above it, which is this high here. Spread it across, and right here we have a pretty much a 1-to-4 trade or a 4 risk to reward. And from this area, you now have your perfect accumulation, manipulation, expansion. We have our 4-hour candle, swept the low, and now we're expanding higher. And that's pretty much what price did. And let me just keep watching so that we can see it hit the full take profit. Let me speed this up a little bit. And there we go. Price continued, hit our high, and it's now just doing this thing. But that's pretty much how simple that it really is. Okay. Accumulation, manipulation, expansion. Accumulation, one, manipulation, two, expansion, three. And once again, the expansion, you're looking for price to flow upwards. That simple. That is CRT for a bullish example with that one. So now I'm going to find the next example so I can break that one down and you can follow along and see it more and more because it would eventually click. Okay, so for this next example, I'm on GU, and as you can see, right, we have another bearish candle, and this candle is on the 30-minute time frame, and this will be used to mark our CRT high and low from here. So let me go ahead and do that now. Identify the candle. So now that I have the candles range mapped out, we're going to watch it and see what happens. And once this low gets swept, once again, I'm going to go on a lower time frame and begin to see things with much more detail so that we can capitalize on it. Now let me begin. Okay, as we can see now, this candle has already swept. Okay, so now I'm going to break it down on a lower time frame so we can see the real time detail of what actually happened. Okay, so now that I'm zoomed out from the 1 minute perspective, right? What do you see here, right? You see, once again, we have another accumulation area, which is R1. So let me just draw that back out again. I'm going to follow the same cycle that I just did. 1, 2, right? So the whole time price was getting lower and lower and lower. Your goal here is to wait for the manipulation to actually end. So you want to just watch for the bears to pretty much begin to exit this area, and you want to see price begin to move back up. Okay. Once price begins to come at least around here, around this, around our very first accumulation line, that's when we know that our manipulation has ended. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and put R3, which lets us know we're now entering expansion. Let me put this arrow as well so you can see the overall direction that I'm trying to look for within this area. And now our entry would be somewhere around here. So, okay, like you can have your stop loss here or you can have it underneath the low. This is kind of optional because once again, once you enter the expansion, you're not really expecting price to go back to that area. So if it comes back to that area, then you are more than likely wrong. Okay. So I'm just going ahead and have this here, right? Now, our CRT high in this case is here, which is a 1 to 3. But once we understand the actual flow of the market overall, we can have our max take profit up here at these highs above here. Let me just make this green like I normally do. And okay, so now within this area, as you can see from a zoomed out perspective, right? We have our phase one, our accumulation. We have our phase two, which was the manipulation that swept our low that was on the 30-minute time frame. Okay. The market is fractal. So you can actually zoom in on the lower time frame and pretty much just see what's happening inside of that candle. So all of this was pretty much what was happening inside of this 30-minute candle. Now, once again, we have the accumulation, the manipulation, and we're beginning to enter our expansion. So now from here, let's watch price and see how it flows. It should pretty much begin to flow straight into our highs from this point on. Okay, tiny bit of drawdown. That's fine. Okay, we hit our 30-minute high. So if this began to reject too much, you're perfectly fine to just exit and take what you got. But remember, our main target from this area is this high here. So ultimately, you want to keep holding. Let's keep watching. And eventually price should come in, tap into this area and hit our take profit. Any minute now. And there you have it. We had another accumulation, manipulation, expansion. Price came, tapped into our high, and then We hit our take profit. So now I'm going to look for one more example. I'm gonna try to find a bearish example so I can break that one down in the same type of format, and then we go from there. Okay, so now in this next example, we have a bullish CRT, which is on the 1 hour time frame. And like I said before, once you have a bullish CRT, you're looking for a bearish move. So what we're going to look for is we want to wait for price to sweep this high and begin to target these lows here. So now I'm going to play the chart, and once price sweep this high, I'm going to go on the lower time frame and break it down once again. Okay, now that happened very quick. So let me go down on the 1 minute time frame and see what happens. Now, as you can see here, we have pretty much the same thing, right? We have our phase one, which is this area here. Once price swept this area, we know that our high was swept, and now we should begin to see bearish momentum. Okay, and this is what we want to look for. And in this case, right, we had our one. It was a very quick manipulation. The manipulation was not long at all, and we went right back underneath, which is our phase three, which is pretty much underneath this area. So now that we have our 1, 2, 3 accumulation, manipulation, distribution, our entry will look something like this. We will have this pretty much would have been the zone. So you could have took this here very quick, had a stop loss around maybe 10, 11 pips. And our target is once again these lows. Okay. Now I am still on GU, which was overall in a uptrending market. So when you are in an uptrending market and you see a CRT, the low doesn't always have to be swept. You pretty much want to take what you can get. So let's just watch it and see what happens overall, right? Our target is a 3R maximum, and let's just watch. Okay, price came. So now the area that I will be looking for in this case, since I understand that we are in a uptrending market overall, so that our bull CRT isn't always going to be high probability. So the next area that I want to see price come into at least is this area of accumulation here, well, this liquidity here, and let's just see if the market taps into it or not, or if it begins to form like a type of higher low or double bottom within this area, then we want to exit our trade. I think in this case, we would have had to exit our trade, but let's just keep watching. Let's keep watching. Okay, there we go. Price tapped right into my area of liquidity. Now, it was a very rough trade because you pretty much had a retrace. So it could have left some people uneasy, but that's pretty much the thing here. Because in this case, even though I'm trading CRT, I am also counter trending. So you can't always expect for the market to directly tap your low in this case. Okay. But it came straight into our area. Let me see what was this area of liquidity. This was a 2R. So pretty much still valid exit point. Everything is fine here. And I think from this point on, the market did actually reverse. So that was still a clean example of a bearish CRT from the 1 hour perspective. And that would be pretty much it for this video. I hope this video helped you see CRT very much clearly and in a very simple format, being 1, 2, 3, accumulation, manipulation, and expansion or distribution. And make sure to like, share, subscribe for more videos like this. And I see y'all on the next one. Peace.